place in the FIFA World Cup quarterfinals was on the line, and the drama did not disappoint. Argentina survived a fierce Egyptian challenge in a thrilling 3-2 victory, while Switzerland held their nerves from the penalty spot after a tense goalless draw against Colombia. Hello and welcome to P&B Sports Show on Politics and Business Television. I'm your host, Abel Sunday. Today we'll break down Argentina's attacking brilliance, Switzerland's penalty shootout heroic, the biggest talking point from both encounter, and what this result means as the race for World Cup glory intensifies. Joining me is our in-house sport analyst, the Sport Berlusconi Arakotom. Stay with us as we bring you informed analysis, bold opinions, and everything you need to know from the beautiful game. So grab your teacup because P&B Sports start now.
Imagine say television, movies, news and entertainment dey your pocket just like that. Welcome to Free TV app. Now the #1 digital TV app for Nigeria. Free TV app get over 100 live TV channels, breaking news, sports, Nollywood movies, small pikin shows and plenty more inside one app. No decoder wahala, no plenty setup. Just download, open, begin the watch. To get the app, just search Free TV for Google Play Store or Free TV.English for Apple App Store, or scan the QR code for your screen. Registration will take you seconds. You fit use phone number, email, WhatsApp, Google or Apple ID. OTP even dey, so make your account dey safe. For inside the app, the live TV section get over 100 licensed channels with program guide, pause, rewind and catch up. Free TV no be ordinary app. Na digital revolution. Download Free TV today.
Welcome back. It's still P&B Sports Show reaching live from the nation's capital, and the Sport Berlusconi is joining us all the way from the Oil City, Port Harcourt. Arakotom, good morning.
Good morning, Abel. Good morning, sports fans all over the world. It's an amazing morning.
Actually, it's an amazing morning indeed. Yesterday we saw Egypt almost did the impossible, and then the whole of African continent stood still. But that's not what we're going to start with. We're going to start with I think we're going to start with that because I think that is the main headlines of yesterday. Looking at Egypt want to do the impossible, almost throw Argentina, defending champion, under the box, and it would have been the first time. And I will have African countries, that is 2 African countries in the quarterfinals. But from your own end, what made the difference for Argentina in their 3-2 win over the Egyptians?
I think first of all, it was just the sheer brilliance and the sheer experience from the team. This is a championship team. This is a team that won the last World Cup. This is a team that had a good run, last 2 World Cups. So this is a team that knows what they are doing. Come on, this is a team that has Lionel Messi. This is a team that has the best of the best. This is a team that is built on the best player in the world right now. So you can't take it away from the Argentina side. After Lionel Messi, saw his early penalty being saved by the Egyptian keeper Mustafa Schobel. That seemed like the Argentine side just stayed patient. They were extremely calm. They were not bothered. They were not worried. They continued playing their football. But we could see the jittery nature of the Egyptians. They were in a hurry to see how they could score and all that. But come on, kudos to manager Lionel Scaloni. He utilized his bench perfectly. I've never seen something like that before. Especially when he brought in players like Gonzalo Montiel and Lautaro Martinez. He just brought in fresh legs, and that was what they needed at the time. And it seemed like that just helped, the Argentine side to camp inside the Egyptian half. That was all they needed. And when you see a Messi orchestrated, offense, and what you saw from the likes of Enzo Fernandez, it was a fantastic one. I think it was sensational, for the Argentine side, even though it was a very, very big risk.
Did you think Egypt deserved more from that performance yesterday, to be honest.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. I think for once, I believe that we might see two African sides in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. It was a fantastic thing to watch. For 78 minutes, you could see Hossam Hassan's side, execute. It seemed like they just kept executing counter attacks upon counter attacks. It's something that we've been seeing, throughout the World Cup, and it's something that they are very good at. And it was perfect, especially when you have players like Mohamed Salah. It was like we're seeing the Mohamed Salah against Lionel Messi. Two players that most likely this will be their last World Cup. Anything we get from them after now is going to be legendary. And it was fantastic. We saw Mohamed Salah, taking the lead, through Yasser Ibrahim's header, and also doubling it with I think it's Mustafa Ziko. They were just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Then, I feel, I think a lot of people might not agree, with the officiating and some VAR calls. A lot of people thought it was because it was an African side that they do not want Africans to take the World Cup. But I feel apart from that, they had opportunities, to put the game to bed, even before Argentina's 11th minute, 3-goal blitz. So I think it was fantastic, and I think that the 3 goals just derailed their efforts, from my own opinion. But they deserve more.
But we've seen this routine from the African teams all through this World Cup. We've seen them taking the lead, very good lead, before they'll start jittery, before they're down. I don't know. Is it that they are not? They feel inferior to these other teams? I don't know. The African teams I'm talking about. Now look at, apart from Morocco that have really done so well. Looking at the Egyptians, arguably, for Christ's sake, 2-0 up. Second half, second half 2-0 up. I think you have like 20 minutes to go. You are still leading with 2-0. What is going on? What is wrong with you? Like, how can you just throw away such a lead? I expect that everybody should be on the same page and the high level of, go ahead.
When you see a team that has experience, when we saw the last match when we saw the match where Haaland, scored goals in the last minute, that these are players that know what to do. These are players that have the experience. Against the Mohamed Salah that he didn't really get the needed, experience that he needed, or the needed confidence booster that he needs this season in the English Premier League. Especially when you see some of the players that are on the team. Look at the Moroccan side. The Moroccan side is a side that have gotten to a certain level in the World Cup. And there's a certain level you get in the World Cup, that in the next 2 to 3 World Cups, you will continue to maintain that tempo. And I think that is the edge that the Moroccans have. But the Egyptians have gotten to this level. And trust me, by the next World Cup, because the Egyptian side is not a team that is built on one man like the Argentine side, the Egyptian side, in my own opinion, will do better than the Argentine side in the next World Cup. It's just the process. The African nations are coming. I believe very soon we are going to see an African nation take the World Cup. It might be Morocco, it might be every other nation, but first of all, we have to build the sport at home.
All right, we have to build the sport at home. That's what you just said. But you just spoke about Argentina now. Looking at Argentina, Lionel Messi arguably is one of the best players on this planet Earth. Looking at what he did yesterday, coming out in 14 minutes to make sure he gave an assist, he scored a goal as well. So looking at his performance yesterday, does that impress you for a 39 years old?
Yes. While we saw the miss, from the penalty that didn't go in, from Messi, I think Messi ultimately provided the magic, with the equalizer, assist, so it was fantastic, and I think that for his age, he's doing fantastically well. A man that has given his all to football, a man that we know in the next how many seasons, even though he decides that, I want to leave the US and stop playing in the US, he can decide to go to Saudi Arabia and he will be widely accepted because if you want to mention three of the best footballers that have ever existed in the history of football, in the history of this sport, I think that player is Lionel Messi. He's going to stand tall. Only few players have achieved what he has achieved. A man that won the World Cup, a man that took his team, a small nation, to win a World Cup. A man that after now, right now, you can see the Argentine side is trying to milk out everything out of him. After now, we might not see, this from Lionel. We might not see this from an Argentine side again. So it's something beautiful to watch. I think what we saw yesterday from Lionel Messi was poetry in motion, in my own opinion.
To be honest, I would disagree with you if you say Argentina is a small nation in terms of football. That's why we have the great Maradona. Have you forgotten about Maradona? You cannot say Argentina is a small. It's not. I think I disagree with you.
After Maradona, it took years before we saw.
That's what I'm saying. For them to be able to.
Maradona and Lionel Messi, these are players that they only have one in a generation.
But how many countries? But how many countries? How many countries have produced Maradona? How many?
Who says Argentina? Will have a Lionel Messi again?
And how do but they once have a Ronaldo. A Maradona, right? They once have a Maradona, and who says they cannot have? It's possible they can. Why won't they? They have Maradona now. Lionel Messi is there. Tomorrow we could have another person. They might not be on this present squad. They might not be on the present squad, but that doesn't mean that they cannot have somebody that will even fit in the Lionel Messi's shoes.
Are you saying right now?
Are you saying that the generation of the Argentine players is over? Is that what you are trying to tell me now? That their generation is over?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so what are you trying to tell me?
I can see that you do your job very well. I am trying to put words in my mouth. All I am saying is, look at the Argentine squad. This Argentine squad, is there any player that you feel can step up to the shoes of Lionel Messi or that can do exactly what Lionel Messi is doing?
For the fact that they don't have now doesn't mean that they can't get later. That's the point I'm trying to make.
And with his performance in this World Cup, I can step up to Lionel Messi. Send me your account number, I will send you 100,000.
For the fact that they don't have it now, that doesn't mean that they cannot get it later. After all, you said it. After Maradona, it took some time before they got Lionel Messi.
I will step up to Lionel Messi.
He might not be on that stage right now, but looking at, let's go back to the conversation. But looking at what defensive mistake nearly cost Argentina, because you see the second goal was a counter from the Egyptians. Immediately they got that header, attack immediately, and 1, 2, 3 passes already the ball was behind the net. What was the defensive blunder? Knowing fully well that you have a certain is it Martinez or what from Manchester United there at that heart of defense. So what blunder, what mistakes nearly cost them this game yesterday?
I wouldn't say it was a mistake. I think we just saw two contradicting styles of football. We saw an Egyptian side that knows how to play defense, an Egyptian side that likes to play defense. So all they do is sit on the low block and see how they can hit you on the counter against an Argentine side, that plays the high line, and the high line comes with a lot of risks. It comes with the risk of who outscores who. And that was the risk that the Argentine side, played with. And it was something that when I saw the matchup, I knew what was coming. I just wasn't sure if the Egyptian side were going to score the goals that they needed to score. Because what we've been complaining about is that this Egyptian side is like they do not have a finishing coach, or they don't just know how to finish. But when you saw what they did, against the Argentine side, it was as if the fire in their veins came out, and that was what we saw. What we saw, basically, my own opinion, was Argentine high line, repeatedly being exposed by Egypt's pace. The first goal came from poor marking, obviously on a set piece. How will you allow a player like Yasser Ibrahim to have a free header like that? It is not something that should be happening, especially against an Argentine side. Then also, the disallowed goal and the second valid goal by Mustafa Zico. Lisandro Martinez was caught square and beaten on the turn as Egypt bypassed the midfield with swift vertical passes. You could see how players, it was just as if the players were ball watching on defense. And if Argentina, this is something we complain about the Argentine side. If the Argentine side continue making this defense, this was the same blunder that we saw the Brazilian side make. They will pay for it.
Okay, they will pay for it, so you said. But look, going forward, they will be playing Switzerland, I think, the next game. And of course, in that part, I think they have a certain Belgium there, and also to pick, and of course, the sealed that game. But going forward, do you think Argentina can go all the way to win the World Cup? Quickly, in 1 minute.
Argentina have done it before. It will be a very good spirit to see a Lionel Messi, win back-to-back World Cups. I think at that point, a lot of people will come out to say that he's the greatest of all time. I think he would have stamped his foot down as calling himself the greatest of all time. But looking at what we have on ground, in my predictions, I believe that the strongest teams, will be a team that has Lionel Messi. The strongest contenders will be a team that has Lionel Messi. The strongest contenders will be a team that has Neymar. The strongest contenders will be a team that has Mbappe. And the strongest contenders will be a team that has Haaland. So in my own opinion, I think yes, the Argentine side has a chance, but the French side also has a chance. And Haaland also has a chance.
They cannot meet the French team to finals because they're in two separate parts. So
yeah,
they can meet.
What you said, if they can go all.
Okay, yeah.
So what I'm saying is this: I'm saying that the three sides that can pick. I'm mentioning the three sides that I think can pick the World Cup, and I think that the Argentine side is a strong contender for it.
All right, it's time for us to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the Switzerland and Colombia game that ended goalless, and the Swiss won that game on penalty. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. No digments, no distraction, just pure unfiltered sport action.
Diogo Dalot, he pulls the ball then. That is outstanding!
Make the P&B Sports Show part of your weekday routine.
Philogene in the penalty area, twisting and turning. He tries to flick it towards goal.
Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. Make the P&B Sports Show part of your weekday routine.
Into Osimhen.
30 minutes of breaking headlines, in-depth analysis, match preview, one explosive hour of fearless opinion, heated debate, and non-stop football conversation. Weekdays at 9 a.m., Saturdays at 1 p.m. Stay ahead of the game. Welcome back. It's P&B Sports Show, reaching live from the nation's capital. Of course, the Sport Berlusconi is very much with me, and as we take the last game before we round up the show this morning, Tom, let's talk about Switzerland, Colombia. We also the game all ended goalless. But was this a tactical battle or a disappointing contest for I will not say for Swiss, but for the Colombians?
Do you know what is called attribution? You could see the Colombia looked to probe patiently with players like Luis Diaz, while Murat Yakin's Swiss side was extremely compact. They kept denying spaces in the final third. But in my own opinion, while it was a slow watch, for anybody that was probably neutral, and it was tension for either a Swiss fan or a Colombian fan. Both sides executed their defensive game. It was fantastic. Watch about 120 minutes.
Indeed, but the Swiss. I want to ask: did the Switzerland deserve to progress on penalties? Looking at what they've done so far within the 90 minutes, do you think they deserve to progress, or it was just Sherlock for the Swiss?
No. Yes, completely. I think they deserve to progress. I don't think anything that moves past a stage, doesn't deserve to progress. It's just that there has to be some changes. But I think the Swiss side is the side that what they are doing in the defense, but then primarily because of their tactical resilience. Kudos to their coach. Especially when you are missing, a standout performer like Johan Manzabi, you know, due to injury. You know, when you see, I did not think that we were going to recover from that. But I think the Switzerland defense, they did well, especially being led by their captain. It was fantastic. You know, I think they frustrated the highly rated Colombian side, and they really executed their penalties, and they were more confident on penalties. So yes, I think the experience when it comes to penalties will help them moving forward.
Help them moving forward, indeed. But as we try to wrap up, can Switzerland go all the way? Do you think, and they're meeting a certain Argentina, do you think they can hold their own? Go play that low block that they can play, try to see how they could hold their own to penalties. I think they're used to penalty now. You get? Beating Colombia in the penalty shootout is not a familiar thing. Maybe the coaching strategy now will be, let's try and hold Argentina to take them to extra time, to penalty kick out, then we'll see the game from there.
I think for the Switzerland side, you know, I think yes, they can. In their approach in game is where they approach, you know, the team against their defense, you know, against Colombia. Like you said, they may not want to be defense for long. I think that yes, they'll be able to hold them at the Argentine side. I think they'll be able to hold the Messi, at least contain him, not completely hold him, because you can't take away everything from a player. But if the Swiss midfield, you know, can close down, you know, passing lanes to